75 and assign it to the reference variable. So here they want us to create the integer variable and initialize it with 75. So here that's the syntax. Integer, my integer equal to new integer is a constructor, and we are passing parameter initialization value 75. Okay.
Muted.
Okay, next question. Declare a reference variable of type file name myfile. So file is again a class, and myfile is a variable. So that's the second question. Answer. Third question. Declare a variable name myMenu suitable for holding reference to menu object. It's the same question, but they just change the sentence. So to make us confused. Okay. So now I think everybody's mute. Any issue with the voice? Object creation and reference variable. Suppose a reference variable of type string called myString has already been declared. Create an object of type string and assign it to the reference variable myString. So again, the only difference is here it's already declared. Almost same question, and we are just initializing it. Okay, this is done. This is done. That is already done. So look like we finished with object-oriented programming. Cool. Okay, method definitions. Write the definition of a method, print dotted line which has no parameter and doesn't return anything. The method print to standard output a single line terminated by a new line consisting of 5 periods. So void mean it will return nothing. The method name is print dotted line, and that's the syntax started. And then system.out.println and semicolon and 5 points 1 2 3 4 5 should be printed in single line. So we are using println, so it will put a new line at the end of the string. So that's the answer for this question. Okay, next scalar variable. Write the definition of a method print create, which is a character parameter and return nothing. The method print online by itself the message string great double colon followed by character parameter printed as a character to a standard output. Don't forget to put a new line character at the end of your line. So same void, that function not going to return anything, and print create, fine, and it should have a parameter and return nothing. Character, that's just variable name, it could be anything, x or y something. The method print on a line by itself message string great this, copy paste it here and plus the parameter and semicolon and close it, so it will print the line. In println it says new line character at the end of your line. So that's the answer of this question. Okay, the next question is write the definition of method print attitude which has integer parameter and return nothing. The method print a message to a standard output depending on the value of its parameter. If a parameter equal to 1, the method print disagree. If the parameter equal to 2, the print method the method print no option.
Oh, that's you gotta. Oh, that's very yeah.
Okay, the method print a message. If the parameter equal to 1, the method print no option. If the parameter equal 3, the method print agree. In case of value, the method does nothing. Each message is printed on a line by itself. Value, function name, parameter, type, then switch option. So we can do instead of if then else switch. I use the switch. Option is equal to 1, then print system.out.println disagree. If option is 2, then system.println no option. If case 3, then system.out.println agree. So that's the code of this. I think it's very simple. Okay. So now we move to next question. Write the definition of a method print larger which has 2 integer parameter and return nothing. The method print the larger value of the 2 parameter to a standard output on a single line by itself. So public static void print larger and 2 parameter integer x common integer y, and if x is greater than y, then print x, else print y. We are supposed to print the larger value. So if x is greater than y, then print x, else y is the greater number. So that is also simple. If anyone has a question, then just message me. That's the answer. Write the definition of a method twice, which receive integer parameter and return integer that is twice the value of the parameter. Public static integer return type twice is the function name, method name, integer is the type, and x is a variable. So integer x is a parameter, and we return. So we have to return twice. So multiply by 2. So that's the correct answer. The next question is, write the definition of method add, which receive two integer parameter and return their sum. Add integer, the return type add is a name, and two parameter integer x, integer y, and return x plus y. So we sum it and return it. Okay. Next question is, write the definition of method dash line with one parameter integer. If the parameter is negative or 0, the method does nothing. Otherwise, it print a complete line terminated by a new line. To standard output consists of dashes, hyphens. With the parameter's value determine the number of dashes, then method return nothing. So again, just the same public static void, it return nothing. Function name integer x. So we have to calculate how many dash, we have to print the number of dashes which we pass. If we pass 10, then it will print, then we print 10 times hyphen. So we put in a loop, for loop integer k is equal to 0, k is less than x. X is a integer parameter which this method get, and k plus plus system dot out dot print, and we print dash. If x is greater than 0, it means he passed something, 1 or 2, then we need to put output new line. Okay, that's also done. Okay, next question. Write the definition of a method power 2 which receive two parameters. The first is a double and the second is integer. The method return a double. If the second parameter is negative, the method returns 0. Otherwise, it returns the value of the first parameter rise to the power of the second parameter. So public static double power 2 is the name of the method. Double first parameter is a double x, second parameter is integer y. Here, okay, if y is less than 0, return 0. If the second parameter is negative, so that's that condition covered by this, return 0. Otherwise, return the value of the first parameter rise to the power of the second parameter. Second parameter is y. Math dot POW power, that's give you a power of that value. It's a Java built-in function. So scalar variable done, return values. Okay, given a method that receives three parameters a, b, c of type double, write some code to be included as a part of the method that determines whether the value of b square mean b into b, minus 4ac is negative. If negative, the code print out the message no real solution and return from the method. So here he says b square mean b multiplied by b, and then minus, and then says 4a multiplied by a, and then multiply by c, and then calculate the whole value. If it's negative, less than 0, it means negative. Then print out this message, no real solution. So that's the answer. Given as the next question, given that a method receives three parameters a, b, c of type double, with some code to be included as a part of a method that check to see if the value of a is 0. If it is, the code print the message no solution for a is equal to 0 and return from the method. If so, here we put the condition if a is equal to 0, system dot out dot println no solution for a is equal to 0 and return. Okay, definition section is done. Now examples section. Given that integer x, y, and z, write a fragment of code that assign the smallest of x, y, and z to another integer variable minimum. Assume that all the variables have already been declared and that x, y, and z have been assigned values. So it's just calculating the maximum value between the three values. If x is less than y, then condition. Now I have to compare with the z. That if x is less than y, okay, x is less than. Now if x is less than z, then minimum value is x, else z is a minimum value. Let's suppose x is greater than y, then else condition come. Okay, if y is less than z, then minimum value is y, else minimum value is equal to z. So that's the second question. Okay. Write the definition of method minimum that has two integer parameter and return the smaller one. So before that we calculated minimum between three parameters, now between two. So minimum is this method name and it get two values, parameter integer x, integer y. And if x is less than y, then return x. X is the smallest number, as y is the smallest number. This is write a method max that has two string parameter and return the larger of the two. Okay, public static string is a return type, and max is the method name, and these are the two parameter, string parameter. These are the names x and y, and compare to is a method of the string which compare, and it take the parameter and compare with it is if it's less than or greater than. So if it's greater than 0, then return x. It means x is greater than y, else y is greater than x. Next, write a method minimum that has 3 string parameter and return the smallest. Before it was we were doing the integer comparison. Now string comparison compared to string. Minimum string is the return type, minimum is the method name, and these are the three parameters: string x, string y, string z. Okay, once I finish with this question, then I will go to the 20604. Okay, this one. Should I explain this too again? Okay. Okay. Okay, let me paste with the number 2. So it's easy for you. Okay, string comparison 3 is done. Now the next one is write a method max subject line that get a string argument and return the same string with a subject in front of it. So if the argument is, are you going to show, the method return subject, are you going to show? So it just get parameter, and I just return subject is equal to s. I mean, I was getting it and I'm not sure how to fix it. So finally, I think it was a space issue. Okay, next question. Write a method get email username that is passed a string argument that is email address and return the username part. So if this is the email is passed to the method return, assume that the argument will always be correctly formatted email address. So they just want the first part of the email address. I mean, not the domain name. So if we get, okay, that's the string is the return type, and get email username, the method name, string is the email parameter, and return email split is the method of the string, which and you pass it the single character. So it will return the array. It will split the string into array using that symbol. If it's this symbol, then it will split with this. If comma, then comma. Wherever it finds comma, it will split the string and put that value into the array. So it's supposed to have the email. So first part, I mean this is the first array. So it will have the name. Okay. Okay, that's done. Now next, write a method get email domain that is pass a string argument that is email address and return the domain name part. So if this is the email is passed to the method return this, assume that the argument will always correctly formatted email address. So in the first case, we were just returning the first part. In the second, in this example, they are asking for the domain, the second part. So in the first part, I was putting here 0. It means first, it will split. Email will be split in two part, in two arrays, array with two elements. Like first we'll have the name, the second will have the domain. Okay, so that is also the same, the previous one. In the first we were first name, in the second example we are getting the value of the domain. Okay, write a method, make email address that is passed to string argument. The first one is username like this, and the second one is the domain name like this. The method return email address from joining this with @ so it's just combining two variable and putting @ between them. So return type is string, method name string, this is x, it could be anything, variable string where x is string and y string, and return we are putting this sign, it says. Okay, so this is also
If you came all the way to the ship.
okay, so that question is also done. Okay, 2 question was not done. Okay, next is write a method is email address that is pass a string argument. It return true or false depending on whether the argument has the form of an email address. In this exercise, assume that email address is only one @ sign and no spaces, tab or new line character. So this is the method is email and string variable is pass, and we check if it has this sign. We are checking that it appear more than 1 or 2 times. So first time index of is start counting from this I, and last index of start counting from the searching from the end. So if these are the same, then it means 1 @ appear in the string. If these value are not the same, then it means it's not valid email address. So then in that case, if I is not equal to y, it will return the index position. So if both position are changed, it means from the end appear somewhere else. I mean second time appear, then return false. Else, now we need to check it contains space, tab, new line, or @. This is, if you see here, is not equal to. It should not contain space. It should not contain this. It should not contain this, but it should contain this. So this is another question. So that is also done. Okay, now string methods is done or not? Now it's done. String method. Parameters. Print today is a method that accepts no argument and return no value. Write a statement that call print today date. Assume that print today is defined as in the same class that call it. So it's just calling the method, how to call the method in a same class. Okay, second question is write the code for invoking a method named send signal. There are no argument for this method. Assume that the send signal is defined in the same class that call it same like a previous. Okay, next question. Write the code for invoking a method named sendObject. There one argument for this method which is of type customer. Assume there's a reference to an object of type customer in a variable called John Dio. Use this reference as an argument. Assume that sendObject is defined in the same class that call it. Now it's the same previous like a previous question, but in this case we are passing its parameter which is already defined. Okay. Now write the code for invoking a method send number. There's a one integer argument for this method. Send the number 5 as an argument to this method. Assume that send number is defined in the same class that call it. So it's the same, calling the method but with the parameter. And in the previous example, we are passing it's a variable class object, and here we are passing a value. The next question is write the code for invoking a method named send variable. There's one integer argument for this method. Assume that integer variable called x has already been declared initialized to some value. Use this variable value as an argument in your method invocation. Assume that send variable is defined in the same class that call it. So x has already been declared and initialized here. And we need to call this this method send variable and pass that variable. So it's the same question, the last one. Next question. Write the code for invoking a method named send2. There are two arguments for this method, a double and integer. Invoke the method with the double value of 15 point this and the integer value of this. Assume that send2 is defined in the same class that call it. So send is a method in the same class defined, and we have to pass two values, this one and this one. Print a description is a method that accepts one integer argument and return no value. Write a statement that invoke the method print error description passing it the value 14. Assume that print error description is defined in the same class that call it. Like previous example, we are passing it 14 and this is the method name. The next question is print largest is a method that accepts two integer argument and return no value. Two integer variables cell1 and cell2 have already been declared and initialized. Write a statement that call print larger passing its cell1 and cell2. Assume that print larger is defined in the same class that call it. So print larger in the same class we will use like this, and it given two variables cell1 cell2 which have already been declared and initialized, so just passing. Okay, another question. Add is a method that accepts two integer argument and return their sum. Two integer variable EuroCell and Asia cell have already been declared initialized. Another integer variable EuroAsia cell has already been declared. Write a statement that call add method to compute the sum of EuroCell and Asia cell that store this value in a EuroAsia cell. Assume that as add is defined in the same class that call it. So just calling the add method. This is a method in the class already defined, and these two variables already given and initialized. So we pass this value, and the add method will return sum of these value, and which we will store EuroAsia cell. Okay. Okay, that question is also done. Next question. To the power of is a method that accepts two integer argument and return the value of the first parameter raise the power of the second. Integer variable cube size has already been declared initialized. Another integer variable cube volume has already been declared. Write a statement that call to the power of to compute the value of the cube size, raise the power of 3 and store the value in the cube volume. Assume that to the power of is defined in the same class that call it. So that's the method which is in the same class, so we just write its name and we pass it cube side, and the second argument is the to raise the power of 3, so we pass 3 and the result need to be stored in a cube volume and store this value in a cube volume. So next question. Print star is a method that accepts a single integer argument and return no value. It print as many star as indicated by its argument. Given a variable x of type double that has been given a value, write a statement that involves print star passing x as an argument. Assume that print star is defined in the same class that call it. So print star is a method. X is a variable of type of type double that has been given a value. Write a statement, then walk and start passing as argument. Passing an x as an argument, so we pass it x as an argument. So that's the answer of this question. Okay. Now the question is, assume there's a class air conditioner that support the following behavior: turning the air conditioner on and off. The following method are provided this behavior: turn on and turn off. Both methods take no argument and return no value. Assume there's a reference variable my AC, so it's already been created. My AC to an object of this class which has already been created using the reference variable. Reference variable means the object which we create, the variable which we given the name to. So in this case, it's my AC. Invoke a method to tell the air condition object to turn on. So it has two methods, turn on and turn off. So we need to call turn on. That's the answer of this question. Again, the same question. Assume there's a class air condition that support the following behavior: turning the air conditioner on and off. The following methods are provided with this behavior: turn on and turn off. Both methods take no argument and return no value. Assume there's a reference variable my AC to no object of this class which has already been created. Using the reference variable, invoke a method to tell the air conditioner object to turn off. In the previous example, it was turn on, now turn off. Okay. Assume, next question is, assume there's a class air conditioner that support the following behavior: turning the air conditioner on and off and setting the desired temperature. The following method provide this behavior: turning on, off, and set temperature. Now set temperature is added extra in this example, which accept integer argument and return no value. Assume there's a reference variable my AC to no object of this class which has already been created. Use the reference variable to invoke a method that tells the object to set the air condition to 72 degree. Before we call the method turn on, then turn off, and now set temperature. In this case, we are passing the parameter which is 72 degree, 72. So that's the answer. Okay. Assume there's a class air conditioner that supports the following behavior: turning the air conditioner on and off, setting the desired temperature, and reporting the previously set temperature. The following method provides this behavior: turning on and turning off. Set temperature, we accept an integer argument and return no value, and get temperature, which accept no value and return an integer. Assume there is a reference variable my AC to an object of this class which has already been created. There is also integer variable called current temperature which has already been declared. Use the reference variable to invoke a method to receive the previously set temperature and store the return value in a current temperature. So in this case, current temperature we has a variable which has already been declared. Use the reference variable. In this case, my AC is the reference variable. Invoke the method to previously set temperature and store. So get temperature will return the will give us the value which is set by this method, set temperature, and we store it in the current temperature. So it's okay. Assume there's a class air condition that support the following behavior: turning the air conditioner on and off, and checking if the air conditioner is on or off. The following method provide this behavior: turn on and turn off. Set temp and is on, which accept no argument and return a boolean indicating whether the air conditioner is on or off. Assume there's a reference variable myAC to an object of this class which has already been created. There's also boolean variable status which has already been declared. Use the reference variable to invoke a method to find whether the air conditioner is on and store the result in a status. Status is a variable which has already been declared, and myAC is a reference variable of the object, and is on is a method of the reference of the air condition class which return boolean whether the AC is on or off. Assume there's a class air conditioner that support the following behavior: turning the air conditioner on and off. The following method provide this behavior: turn on and turn off. Both methods accept not and return no value. Assume there's a reference variable office AC of type air conditioner. Create a new object of type air conditioner and save the reference in office AC. After that, turn the air conditioner on using the reference to the new object. So in a previous example, this statement was done and we were just using this method, this statement. In this case, this is declared but not initialized. So in this case, we initialize it with the air conditioner object. Initialize it's a constructor, we call it new, and the class name. So this is now created, and then we call its method turn on. So they are same question but little getting more detail with it. I mean extra steps. No. Same question. Assume there's a class air conditioner that support the following behavior: turning the air conditioner on and off and setting the desired temperature. The following method provide this behavior: turn on and turn off, which accept no argument and return no value, and set temperature, which accept integer argument and return no value. Assume there is a reference variable office AC of type air conditioner. Create a new object of type air conditioner, save the reference in a office AC. After that, use the reference to turn on the new air conditioner object and set the desired temperature to 69 degree. So same here, we are now creating the air conditioner object and storing the reference in office, this variable office AC, and then office AC, once we get the reference, then we call its method turn on, and after turn on we set the temperature. Okay. Next question. Assume the availability of class name date manager that provide a static method print to today date that accept no argument and return no value. Write a statement that call print today date. So it's a static method, so we can directly call it instead of we don't need to create the object of date manager is object is a class, and print to date is a static method. So all we have to make a call for this method. Assume the availability of class name data transmitter that provide a static method send signal that take no argument. Write the code for invoking this method. So data transmitter is given, and send signal is a method which we need to call. Write the code for invoking a static method named sendNumber provided by the data transmitter class. There's one integer argument for this method. Invoke this method and use the number 5 as an argument. Data transmitter is a class, and sendNumber is a static method, so we can call it directly using the class dot. And 5 is the number we need to pass it, and use the number 5 as an argument. So that's the answer for this question. The next question is, write the code for invoking a static method named sendDouble provided by the data transmitter class. There's one double argument for this method. Assume that a double variable called x has already been declared and initialized to some value. Use this variable value as an argument in this method. So again, data transmitter is a class, and sendDouble is a method, and x is a variable which has already been declared and initialized. So we have to pass this, and this is the answer for this question. Okay, next question is, write the code for invoking a static method named send2 provided by the data transmitter class. There are two arguments for this method, a double and integer. Invoke the method with the double value of this and integer value of this. So again, it's a class, and send2 is a method, and these two values are already given, so we have to pass these values. Okay. The next question is, assume the availability of a class named logger that provide a static method print a description that accepts one integer argument and return no value. Write a statement that invoke the method print array description, pass it to the passing it the value 14. So in this case, the class name is string logger, and the method is print array description, and the value is 14. One minute, let me drink some water. Thanks for reminding me. It's too much tension. Okay, that's done. Next question. Assume the availability of a class named logger that provide a static method print larger that accept two integer argument and return no value. Two integer variables cell1 and cell2 have already been declared and initialized. Write a statement that call print larger passing it cell1 and cell2. Same case, this is the class and its static method print larger, and these are two the variable which has already been initialized. So that's the answer. So now the next question is, assume the availability of a class name arithmetic that provide a static method add that accept two integer argument and return their sum. Two integer variable EuroCell and AsiaCell have already been declared and initialized. Another integer variable EuroAsiaCell has already been declared. Write a statement that call add to compute the sum of EuroCell and AsiaCell and store the value in the EuroAsiaCell. In the last example, we were not using the class. We were using add in that class method as a method. So class was missing. Now in this case, argument is a class and add is a static method. Here is defined as static method. And we pass in, and it's sum these two value and return is stored in this variable. So that's the answer for this question. And this is the next question is, assume the availability of a class name iMath that provide a static method to the power of is a method that accept two integer argument and return the value of first parameterized to the power of the second. An integer variable CubeSide has already been declared and initialized. Another integer variable CubeVolume has already been declared. Write a statement that call to the power of to compute the value of CubeSide rise to the power of 3 and store this value in CubeVolume. So it's the same question, but we are using maths.power, I think. In this case, they declare we suppose this is the class and it has this method and it take two arguments. The first one is which need to be is the value and the second one is the power. So CubeSide is a variable rise to the power of 3 and store the value in a CubeVolume. So that's the answer for this question. Okay. The area of a square is stored in a double variable name area. Write expression value is the length of the side of the square. So math.square calculated. Area of the square of the area of a square is stored in a double variable name area. Write an expression whose value is the length of diagonal of the square. So that's the equation. Area multiplied by 2. The length The length of the rectangle is stored in a double variable named length, width, and in the width in one named width. Write an expression whose value is the length of the diagonal of the rectangle. So square root power of length and power of width and plus it. That's the equation. I mean, you have to Google it to calculate what's the equation. The next question is, if a right triangle has side of length A, B, C, and if C is the largest, then it's called the hypotenuse. And its length is the square root of the sum of the square of the length of the shorter side A and B. Assume that variable A and B has been declared as a double, that A and B contain the length of the shorter side of the triangle. Write expression for the length of this. So that's the equation. I mean, just need to check the Google and get the equation. That was the equation. Maths. The math class provides a static method max that accepts two integer arguments and return the value of the larger one. Two integer variable population 1 and population 2 has been declared and initialized. Write expression, not a statement, whose value is the larger of the population 1 and population 2 by calling max. So max is a built-in function which takes two arguments and return the which one is maximum. Now the next question is, assume x is a variable that has been declared as a double and has been given a value. Write an expression to compute the quadratic root of the x. The quadratic of the number is square root of its square root. Two square roots. For example, the quadratic of 16 is 2 because the square root of 16 is 4 and the square root of 4 is 2. Another example is 81 is 3 because the square root of 81 is 9 and the square root of 9 is 3. Thus, to find the quadratic root of a number, you take the square root of a number and then take the square root of that. In this case, you must find the quadratic root of x in a single expression. You must not write a statement. Also may you only use square root static method defined in the math class and no other method. So that was hence was given and it was already defined. 1 is the number of square root of the again. So 2 times we have to do it. First time and then second time. That's the answer. Any question about this question? I think it's simple. Text is too much, but the answer is short one. Okay, here the math class provides a static method max that accepts two integer argument and return the value of the larger one. For integer variable population 1, 2, 3, 4 has already been declared and initialized. Write an expression, not a statement, whose value is the largest. So population 1, 2, 3, 4 by calling max. So simple. First we calculate maximum between 2 and then we calculate 3 and then it will return one value and it will return value and then again call max. It will return between these two max. So it can be done like this. So that's the answer for this question. Okay. Assume that data manager is a reference to an object that has a method named print today date that accept no argument and return no value. Write a statement that call print today date. So it's already been created, and we have to call this method print today date. Assume that data transmitter is a variable that refer to an object that provide a method send signal that take no argument. Write the code for invoking this method. So its data transmitter is already created. We have an object and we have to call this method send signal. Assume that data transmitter is a variable that refer to an object that provide a method called name send object. There's a one argument for this method, a reference to a customer object. Assume there's a reference to an object of type customer in a variable called John. Invoke this method using the reference as your argument. So we already done this. Again, data transmitter dot send object, and this is a customer variable class object. Assume that data transmitter is a variable that refer to an object that provide a method name send number. There's a one integer argument for this method. Invoke this method and use the number 5 as an argument. So this is the object already been created. Send number is a method which we need to use, and 5 is already given as an argument. So that's the answer for this question. Assume that data transmitter is a variable that refer to object that provide a method named send double. There's a one double argument for this method. Assume that double variable call x has already been declared initialized to some value. Invoke this method using the variable value as an argument. Object is already declared initialized, and this is method, and x is already been given. So we need to pass x variable. That's the answer for this question. Assume that data transmitter is a variable that refer to an object that provide a method name send to. There are two arguments for this method, a double and an integer. Invoke this method with a double value of this and integer value of this. So data transmitter object already declare and initialize. Send is a method, send to is a method, and these two values are already given to us here and here. So okay, assume that logger is a reference to an object that has a method name print error description that accept one integer argument and return no value. Write a statement that invoke the method print error description passing its value 14 logger. So logger is a class here, printed description is a method, and 14 is the value which has been given. Assume that logger is a reference to an object that has a method name print larger that accepts two integer argument and return no value. Two integer variables cell1 and cell2 have already been declared and initialized. Write a statement that call print larger passing its cell1 and cell2. So logger is a object, reference object variable, and print larger is a method, and cell1 cell2 are the variable which has already been declared and initialized. Next question is, assume that arithmetic is a reference to an object, meaning it's already been created, that has a method name add that accepts two integer argument and return their sum. Two integer variable EuroCell and AsiaCell have already been declared and initialized. Another integer variable EuroAsiaCell have already been declared. Write a statement that call add to compute the sum of EuroCell and AsiaCell and store the value store this value in a EuroAsiaCell. So again, arithmetic, before it was a static method, so we'd call it directly. Now in this case, you are supposing object already been created. So reference object, we are calling this method add, passing two values, and return the sum of these values, and we store in this variable. Assume that x is a variable that has been declared as an integer and has been given a value. Assume that twice is a method in the same class as the caller that receive a single integer parameter and return twice its value. So if we pass 7 to twice, it will return 14. Thus the expression twice has the value of 14. Write an expression whose value is 8 times that of x without using the standard Java arithmetic operator plus, multiply, plus, etc. Instead, use call the twice to accomplish this. In this exercise, you must write this as a single expression. You must not write any statement. Also, you may only use twice functions, no other function or operator. So here we need to calculate this 8 times the value of x. So twice it will give you 2 times, and then twice it will multiply 2 times, and then twice it will multiply 2 times. So it will come around 8. That's the answer. Same question like the previous one. 16. Yeah. Assume that x is a variable that has been declared as an integer and has been given a value. Assume that one more is a function that receives a single integer parameter and return a value that is greater than its argument. So if we pass 7 to 1 pair, it will return it. Thus the expression 1 more 9 has the value of 7. So it will keep adding 1 more. So write expression whose value is 4 times. It means we need to call 4 times without using the standard Java arithmetic operation. Instead use the call to 1 more to accomplish this. In this exercise, same. You must write this as a single expression. You must not write any statement. Also, may you not use more, may only use one more function, no other function or operator. So it's the same, which is the last one. Max is a method that accepts two integer arguments and return the value of the larger one. Two integer variable population 1 and population 2 have already been declared and initialized. Write an expression whose value is the larger of population 1 and 2 by calling the max. Assume that max is defined in the same classes that call it. So we just pass to variable population 1 2 and it will return which one is the larger one. So answer for this question is this. Next question. It's the same where we use the math.max, I think, where need to calculate the 4 value. Max is a method that accepts two integer arguments and return the value of the larger one. 4 integer variable population 1 2 3 4 have already been declared and initialized. Write an expression, not a statement, whose value is the largest of population 1 2 3 4 by calling max. Assume max is defined in the same class that call it. So one max, it will return population 1 or 2, and the other max will return 4 or 3, and this max will return, which is return this and this, it will go there. So we will finally get one value. Next question is, write the definition of a class simples. The class is no constructor, method, or instance variable. So class is these. It must be a public or private. This is the reserved word, and this is also reserved word, and this is a name, and this is starting, and this is the ending. Okay, 1 minute. Write the definition of two classes, day and night. Both classes have no constructor, method, or instance variable. Note: for this exercise, please don't declare your classes using the public visibility modifier. So if we skip that one, that mean class, it need, and the name need, and this is day class, and this is night class. Next question is, write a class name account1 acc1 containing no constructor, method, or instant variable. Note that the last character of the class name is 1, not ELL, I think. So this is the reserved word public, class name, class is the reserved word, and this is the name. So answer of this question is this. Write the definition of a class clock. The class has no constructor and one instance variable of type integer called hours. So this is the class and private one integer hours. Second question is, write the definition of a class clock. The class has no constructor and two instance variable. One is of type integer called hours and the other of type boolean called is ticking. So public class clock, name of the class, private integer hour. So that's the answer for the this question. Next question is, write the definition of a class clock. The class has no constructor and three instant variable. One is of type integer called hours, another is of type boolean called is ticking, and the last one of type integer called diff. So public class clock, private integer hour, boolean is ticking, private integer diff. So write the definition of a class clock. The class has no constructor and three instant variable. One is of type integer called hours initialized to 12, another is of type boolean called is ticking, and the last one is of type integer called diff. So the last one and this one we only initialize the hours. That's the only difference. The next question is, write the definition of a class clock. The class has no constructor and three instant variable. One is of type integer called hour initialized to 12, another of type boolean called is ticking initialized to true, and the last one is type integer called diff initialized to 5. Same question, but in this case we are initializing all the three variables. Okay. Write the definition of a class. Weather forecast that provide the following behavior method. A method called setSky that has one parameter string. A method called setHigh that has one parameter as integer. A method called setLow that has one parameter as integer. a method called getSky that has no parameter and return the value that was last used as an argument in setSky. A method called getHigh has no parameter that return the value that was last used as an argument in setHigh. A method called getLow that has no parameter and return the value that was last used as an argument in setLow. No constructor needed to be defined. Be sure to define instant variable as needed by your get and set method. Initialize all numeric values to 0 and any string variable to the empty string. So weather forecast is the class name. Sky is a variable, string variable, nothing, high, low. It could be anything. It's up to you. I mean, they just restricted us the method and the variable we can set it. So set sky string, its get argument is a sky, and we assign it to the local variable, local instant sky equal to this, and it return nothing. Set return nothing. So void set sky this, void set high, it will get integer type high, and this dot high mean this one, and this high will get here. It could be any, it's up to you. You can give it x value or y value. Public void set low, integer variable low, this low, and this low come here. Now the other three parameter to get the value which were set by these methods. So get method is actually return these variable. So get skies will be returned, get high value return, get low values return. So this will copy paste help you a lot. I mean, too much typing. Okay, any question about this? If anyone has a question, I mean, I need to repeat something, then just let me know. Okay, next question. Write the definition of a class player containing instance variable name of type string initialized to the empty string, instant variable score of type integer initialized to 0. Here they are given us the variable name. In the last method they didn't give us the variable name, only give us the method names and its argument that and return types. So here it's given name, we set it name, type integer initialized to empty string. Second, score is given, initialize, type is integer initialized to 0. Okay, that part is done. Now set name has no parameter whose value is assigned to the instant variable. That has one parameter whose value is assigned to the instant variable name. So it gets one variable and it's assigned to name. Okay. Set score that has one parameter whose value is assigned to the instant variable score. So it's assigned. Get name has no parameter. And return the value of the instant variable name, and return the name. Say, okay, the next one is get score that has no parameter and return the value of the instant variable score, and return this. So that's the answer of this question. Okay, that's done. Next, write the definition of a class contest result containing variable winner of type string initialized to empty string. That's done. Second place, of type string initialized to empty string. That's done. Third place, of type string initialized to empty string. That's done. Now set winner has one parameter whose value is assigned to the instant variable winner. This is the parameter and it's assigned to this, so that's the value. Okay, that's done. Second place is here. It get one parameter of type string and it is assigned to this variable. And the third one is third place. It has one parameter. These are the parameter. It can be anything x, y, z, and it is assigned to third place, which we declare here. Now get winner actually return the value this, and get second place it return this value, and get third place it return this value. So that's the answer of this question. Okay, the next question is write the definition of a class playlist entry containing an instant variable title of type string initialized to the empty string. So variable name title initialized to the empty string, artist of type string initialized to nothing, teacher initialized to 0 is done. In addition, your playlist class definition should provide an appreciate name, get method, and set method for each of these. No constructor need. If you define this, then it should have a set method, set artist, set playground count, and get artist and get play count. So that's the answer for the second. Write a class name ACC2 containing instant variable name sum of type integer initialized to 0. A method name getSum that returns the value of sum. So it's a simple one class we need to define. It should have integer variable and it should return that integer variable, and that variable name is sum and the method name is getSum. Okay, no constructors. Write the definition of a class counter containing instant variable counter of type integer initialized to 0. A method called increment that add 1 to the instant variable counter. It doesn't accept parameter or return value. A method called getValue that doesn't accept any parameter. It returns the value of the instant variable counter. So counter class we need to create, and it should have one counter integer type equal to 0. It should have one method increment which just increment that value by plus, and the other method getValue which return this counter variable value. So simple. Write a class name accumulator containing instant variable name sum of type integer initialized to 0. A method name getSum that returns the value of sum. A method name add that accepts integer parameter. The value of sum is increased by the value of the parameter. So accumulator is a class name. Sum, we define it. Add accept one parameter, and it's increase that sum value by that value which it get in a parameter, and getSum return the value of the sum variable. And that's the answer of this question. Okay, right. Next question. Question is write a class name aperture containing instant variable name sum of type integer initialized to 0. Instant variable name count of type integer initialized to 0. So here sum is initialized to 0 and type integer, count is initialized to 0 and type integer. Add method that accept integer parameter. The value of the sum increased by the value of the parameter, and the value of the count is incremented by 1. So it gets the value, it increments sum by this value and increase the count value by plus 1. Or getSum actually return the sum value, getCount accept no parameter, and return the value of the instant variable, that is the number of value added to the sum. Okay. GetAverage that accept no parameter, GetAverage return the average of the value added to the sum. The value returned should be the value of the type double, and therefore you must cast the instant variable to double or to perform the division. So that's the equation of the average, and we just apply this double. Next question. Write a class name getString containing an instant variable name amount of type double initialized to 0. Amount, and the other method add guess, we add it, accept a parameter of type double. Okay, double x. The value of the amount instant variable is increased by the value of the parameter amount plus equal to x. Use case, the experiment of type, the value of the amount instant variable is decreased by the value, so it's opposite to add guess, it minus, use minus, and get guess level, it's return the amount instant variable. Okay, that's done. Now the next question is write a class name getString containing an instant variable name amount of type double initialized to 0. A method name add that accept a parameter of type double, the value of the amount instant variable is increased by the value of the parameter. A method name use case that accept a parameter of type double, the value of the amount instant variable is decreased by the value of the parameter. However, if the value of the amount is decreased below 0, amount is set to 0. A method name is empty that accept no parameter is empty return a boolean value true if the value of the amount is less than 0.01 and false otherwise. A method name get guess level that accept no parameter get guess level return the value of the amount instance variable. So here is the guess this amount, initialize it to add guess method. X type is double, amount plus equal to X, use case X, amount minus equal to X. If amount is less than 0, then amounts, here is the rule. Oops. If the value of the amount is decreased below 0, then amount set to 0. Here this cover it that value, and get guess it return the amount is empty as a rule. If the amount is less than 0.01, then return true, else return false. Is less than 1, true if the value of the amount is less than 0.1, and false. I mean it will tell you that it's empty or not empty. So answer of this question is this one. Okay, next question. Write a class name parking meter containing an instant variable name time left of type integer initialized to 0. A method name add that accept integer parameter. If the value of the parameter is equal to 25, the value of the time left is increased by 30. Otherwise, no increase is performed. And add return a boolean value true if the time left was increased, false otherwise. A method name take that accept no parameter and return no value. Take decrease the value of the time left by 1, but only if the value of the time left is greater than 0. A method name is expired that accept no parameter is expired return a boolean value true if the value of the time left is equal to 0, false otherwise. So we define parking meter, time left is a parameter 0. Add, there is a rule, if it's 25 then increase by 30. If it's 25, time left plus equal to 30 and return true, else return false. Take if time left is greater than 0, then time left minus minus, it will decrease the time left. Is expired. If time left is equal to 0, return true, else return false. That's the rule. Expired return a boolean true if the value of the time left is equal to 0, else false. Now the next question is, you are given a class named clock that has one integer instant variable called hour. Write a constructor with no parameter for the class clock. The constructor should set out to 12. So hard coded. I mean, it's not getting value from a parameter. It's just setting its this value. So question of You are given a class named clock that has three instance variable, one of type integer called hours, another of type boolean called is ticking, and the last one of type integer called diff. Write a constructor for the class clock that take three parameter, integer, boolean, and another integer. The constructor should set the instance variable to the value provided. So this is the constructor. It's take integer, boolean, and integer. Hours, x is taking y is diff new integer z. So that's the answer for this question. A clock named clock has two instant variable, hour type integer and is taking boolean type. Write a constructor that take a reference to an existing class object as a parameter and copy that object variable to the object being created. Your task: write a clock constructor that make this possible. Just write this constructor, don't write the whole class or any outside of the class. So in this case, this is a constructor, but it's clock constructor, but it's getting the in a parameter clock object. So clock object, we get it, and that clock object has some hour and is taking already set. So we need to assign this value to the current clock object, which is which is called. So it get x is a variable, clock type x dot hour assigned to this dot class, this dot hours, and this dot is taking x dot is taking. So we pass this variable in this constructor in a parameter clock class object. Sorry. A simple answer of this question is this. Oops. Next question is this. Write the definition of a class clock. The class has three instant variables, one of type integer called hour, another of type boolean called is ticking, and the last one of type integer called diff. You should write a constructor that take these three parameter, integer, boolean, and another integer. The constructor should set the instant variable of the value. So these are the clock object, these are the three variable, and this is the constructor which get these three value, and we set it like this. So answer, it's almost the same answer in the previous example. I mean, two examples. This constructor taking three parameter and setting it. Now write a class definition of a class name value with the following: a boolean instant variable name modify initialized to fall, an integer instant variable name val, constructor accepting a single parameter whose value is assigned to the instant variable val, a method get val that returns the current value of the instant variable val, a method set val that accepts a single parameter, assign its value to val and set the modified instant variable to true. A boolean method was modified that returned to true if the set value was called. So val is defined class name, modify, it's defined, need to be set to false. Another variable as well, type of integer. This is a constructor, it will get value. This is a parameter name, it could be anything, and we assign this value to the val variable, this one. And get val actually return this value. Was modify, we return this value. Set val, we get the value. This value is set here, and modify is true. If this method is called, then modify is a get update is set. So write a class definition of class name value with the following: constructor accepting a single integer parameter, constructor with no parameter, a method set val that accepts a single parameter, Boolean method was modified that return true if set val was ever called for the object, a method get val that return the integer value as follow: if set val has been call it get value return the last value passed to the set val. Otherwise, if the single integer parameter constructor was used to create the object, get value return the value passed to the constructor. Otherwise, get okay, the text, I mean, you will get confused. Val, modify, define. It's the same previous example. Val, here we in this constructor we set it to 0, and the other constructor we pass value and it's set. Get value, just return the variable. Was modify, return modify, and set, we set it. So text is too much, but the code is almost same. We just added this method almost. Okay, write the definition of a class counter containing an instant variable name counter of type integer, an instant variable name limit of type integer, a constructor that take two integer argument and assign the first one to the counter and the second one to the, okay, this line mean this, a constructor that take two argument, assign first to the counter and the second one to the limit. A method name increment, it doesn't take parameter or return value. If the instant variable count is less than the limit, increment is just add 1 to the instant variable. So increment is if count is less than the limit, then counter get incremented. A method name decrement, it also doesn't take parameter or return value. If counter is greater than the 0, it just subtract 1 from the counter. If counter is greater than 0, then just decrement 1 from it. Get value, instant variable counter. Get value is just return this variable. So this is the answer for this question. Okay, the next question is, write the definition of a class counter containing an instant variable name counter of type integer, a constructor that take, okay, this line mean that one, and this line mean this, and this line mean integer, this one defined. A constructor, it define this constructor, take one argument, assign to the counter, okay, A method name increment that does add 1 to the count, it doesn't take parameter or return value. So increment, this is the increment method, and decrement, this is the decrement method. Decrement that subtract 1 from the counter, it doesn't take parameter or return value. And get value, this is here. So answer for this question is this. Okay, this line mean create a class. Instant variable means sum, this accept a constructor that accept integer parameters value is used to initialize the sum instant variable. So that is a constructor, and it's initialized sum value. An argument is pass. Get sum, return sum variable. This is get sum. The other method is add method. The value of the sum is increased by the value of the parameter. So the value of the sum increased by the value of the parameter. This is the method. You can okay. No, that one is no. Okay, write a class name guess string containing an instant variable name amount. This line means we created a class amount. So this line is here, double type of amount, capacity, instant variable name capacity of the type double. This is here. Okay. A constructor that accept a parameter of type double, the value of the parameter is to initialize. Okay. Constructor or parameter is used to initialize the value of the capacity. So this is here. Add guess. If the accept parameter of type double, the value of the amount instant variable is increased by the value of the parameter. However, if the value of the amount is increased beyond the value of the capacity, amount is set to 0. So it's increment the value by the parameter, increase amount is increased by the value of the parameter. If the amount is greater than the capacity, then we set the amount to capacity again. That's the rule in this method. Use case. A method name use case that accepts parameter of type double. The value of the amount instant variable is decreased by the value of the parameter. However, if the value of the amount is decreased below 0, amount is set to 0. So here, if the amount is getting decreased by the value of the parameter, opposite of add case. If the amount is less than 0, then amount is set to 0. In this case, if the amount is greater than capacity, then amount is set to capacity, and here it's set to 0 use case. Is empty. That accept no parameter is empty, return a Boolean value true if the value of the amount is less than 0.01 and false. If the value of the amount is less than 0, true, else false. Next is full. A method name is full that accept no parameter. Is full return a Boolean value true if the value of amount is greater than capacity minus 0, capacity minus 0, yeah, capacity minus 0.1, and false otherwise. So is full if the amount is greater than this dot capacity minus this, true, else false. Gas level. that accept no pyramid guess level, return the value of the amount instant variable. Amount, return it. Fill up that accept no parameter. Fill up increase amount to capacity and return the difference between the value of the capacity and the original value of the amount. That is the amount of the gas that is needed to fill the tank to capacity. Okay, amount. So I get stored in a temp, and then capacity is assigned to amount, and then we return capacity minus temp plus amount. The difference between this. So answer is okay. Next question. Write a class name gas tank containing instant variable name amount of type double initialized to 0. So amount is initialized to 0, capacity not initialized. Okay, this question is, so capacity is double. Okay, the next constructor is initialize the value of the capacity. So capacity is initialized here. A method add gas that accepts a parameter of the type double. The value of the amount increase. Instant variable is increased by the value of the parameter. However, if the value of the amount is increased beyond the value of the capacity, amount is set to capacity. Same rules. If it's across the capacity, then it's again set to the capacity. It's almost the same. Okay. Okay, a method name use case that accept a parameter of type double. The value of the amount is to instance variable is decreased by the value of the parameter. So use case amount is decreased by the parameter value. If the amount is less than 0, then amount is set to 0. That's the rule. Is empty except no parameter, return a Boolean value true if the value of the amount is less than 0.1 and false otherwise. Is empty if it's less than 0.5, return true, else false. Is full is the same rule, the last one. return a boolean value true if the value of the is greater than amount is greater than capacity minus 0.5 and false otherwise. And this get case level that accept no parameter get case level return the value of the amount instant variable. So this is done here. So answer for this question is, I hope it's not the same. Okay, write a class name book containing two instant variable name title and author of type string. A constructor that accepts two string parameters. The value of the first is used to initialize the value of the title, and the value of the second is used to initialize the author. A method named toString that accepts no parameter. ToString return a string consists of the value of the title followed by new line character followed by value of the author. So variable title and author is defined, and this is the book constructor. It gets two parameters, first parameter and second parameter. First parameter is assigned to title and second parameter is assigned to author, and toString another method which combine this title plus new line character and then author. Here it says followed by a new line character and then followed by value of the author. So answer is of this question is this. Next question is, write a class name parking meter containing two instant variable named time left and max time integer. The value time left should be initialized to 0. So it means this one. The second one is a constructor accepting a single parameter whose value used to initialize the max time instance variable. So constructor that set max time with a parameter which you get. The next, a method name 8 that accept integer parameter. If the value of the parameter is equal to 25, the value of the time left is increased by 30, otherwise no increase is performed. Furthermore, the increase occur only if the value of the time left will not exceed the value of the max time. 8 return a boolean value true if time left was increased, false otherwise. So there was for 8 method need to be added, and it will get one parameter x and type integer. If x is equal to 25 and time left is less than max time, then time left can be increased by the 30 and then return true, else return false. The next method take that accept no parameter and return no value. Take decrease the value of the time left by 1, but only if the value of the time left is greater than 0. So time left, if it is greater than 0, then decrement it. A method name is expired that accept no parameter. Is expired return a boolean value true if the value of the time left is equal to 0, false otherwise. So if time left is greater than 0, false, else return true. That's the rule. And answer is this. Okay, that's done. Okay, write the definition of a class telephone. The class has no constructor, one instant variable of type string, called number, and two static variable. One is of type integer called quantity, initialized to 250. The other is of type double called total, initialized to this variable. So class is created telephone, and has string variable. Number is a string type. The other is quantity, static, type integer, and value is this. The other is total, type double, static, and value is this. Write the definition of a class telephone. The class has no constructor, one string variable of type string called number, and one static variable of type integer called quantity. So telephone is a class, string is a number, and quantity is a static. Okay. Write the definition of a class counter containing an instant variable named counter of type integer. So counter type integer done. An instant variable called limit of type integer. This is, and the third line is a static integer variable named nCounter, which is initialized to 0. Constructor. A constructor, this is the other, this one. A constructor taking two integer parameter that assign the first one to the counter and the second one to the limit. It also add one to the static variable nCounter. So first parameter is assigned to the counter, second parameter is assigned to the limit, and the nCounter is getting increased by 1. A method name increment, it doesn't take parameter or return value. If the instant variable counter is less than the limit, increment just add 1 to the instant variable. So if the counter is less than the limit, then counter get incremented. That's the rule. A method name decrement that also doesn't take parameter or return value. If the counter is greater than 0, it just subtract 1 from the counter. So decrement, if count is greater than 0, then decrement it. That's the rule. And method get value that return the the value of the counter. A static method name get nCounter that return the value of the static variable nCounter. This. So the answer for this question is let's run. Okay. Next question is this. Write the definition of a class counter containing an instant variable named counter of type integer. An instant variable named counter ID. So this line covers counter, initialize it, counter ID, an instant variable named counter ID of type integer. So here counter ID of type integer, a static variable, and counters type integer, initialize it to 0. A constructor that take integer argument, assign its value to the counter. Let's take one on, assign it to the counter, that add it also add one to the static variable encounter. Okay, done. And assign the result to the instant variable counter ID. It needs to be incremented by 1 and then assign it to this counter ID. So that's the process. And increment, it doesn't take parameter or return value. It just add one to the instant variable counter. So increment just add one to it. Decrement, it doesn't a method named decrement that also doesn't take parameter in it or return value. It just subtract one from the counter. So it just subtract get value. It return the value of the instant variable counter. Get count ID. It return the value of the instant variable counter ID. So it's just return this value. So okay, next question. Write the definition of a class telephone. The class has no constructor and one static method print number. The method accepts a string argument and print it on the screen. The method return nothing. So telephone, okay, and method is print number. You get one parameter and just print the number. Okay, 640. Write the definition of a class telephone. The class has no constructor and one static method get full number. The method accepts a string argument and return it. Adding 7180 dash to the beginning of the argument. So it's a simple class and it's the static method and its return string get full name and get parameter type of string x, and we add this value with it and return it. Write the definition of a class telephone. The class has no constructor, one string variable of type string called number, and two static variable. One is of type integer called quantity, the other of type double called total. Besides that, the class has one static method make full number. The method accepts two arguments: a string containing telephone number and integer containing the area code. The method concatenate the two arguments in the following manner. First come the area code and then a dash, then the telephone number. The method returns the resulting string. So three variables are declared. Number is a string, quantity, integer, static, total, double, static. And this is a static method. It returns string and it takes two arguments. One is, it could be anything, phone and area code. So it just combine these and put this dash between them. This. A color class has three integer color component: instant variable red, green, and blue. Write toString method for this class. It should return a string consisting of 3 color components in the order red, green, blue, within parentheses separated by a comma with hash sign. So far it should be done like this. So toString, we have this variable already defined, red, green, blue. So it just need to be put this formatting. Next question is, assume the existence of a window class with integer instant variable width, height, x position, y position. Define the method toString for the window class. The string representation of the window should be of the form width. This is a variable x, height, window 8 position, where the value within the s are replaced by the actual value of the corresponding string variable. For example, given window object whose value is 80, height is 20, x position, this y position toString should form this answer. So a width variable, height, windows, x position, comma y position. A80 20, A80 into 20, windows at 0, comma 30. So that's done. Okay. The superclass calculator contains a protected double instant variable accumulator that contains the current value of the calculator. Write a subclass calculator with memory that contains instant variable memory initialized to 0. Save that assign the value of the accumulator to memory. Recall that assign the value of the memory to accumulator. Clear memory that assigns 0 to memory. Get memory that return the value stored in the memory. So first initialize this memory variable, double instant variable memory initialized to 0. Then same method, the superclass accumulator assign it to memory. Recall, assign the value of the memory to accumulator. Okay, and clear memory assign 0 to the memory. Okay, this here, and get memory return the value stored in the memory. So answer for this question is this one. $750. Second question. Assume the availability of existing class I calculated that models an integer arithmetic calculator and contain instant variable current value that store the current integer value of the calculator. Get method for the above instant variable. Method 8 sub, multiply and divide. Each method in iCalculator receive integer argument and apply this operation to current value and return the new value of the current value. So if the current value has the value 8 and sub 60 is involved, the current value end up with value of 2 and 2 is returned. So you are to write the definition of the subclass iCalculator1 based on the iCalculator. The class iCalculator1 has additional method sign that receive no argument and doesn't modify the current value. Instead, it simply returns 1, 0, or -1 depending on whether the current value is positive, 0, or negative, respectively. So iCalculator extend iCalculator1 extend iCalculator, and we add method in it, public integer sign. Here we call add method. Add method if we tell him to add 0, then it will return the current value. If I is less than 0, the current value is less than 0, then return -1. If I is equal to 0, then return 0, else return 1. These are the conditions. Assume the availability of existing class iCalculator that model an integer arithmetic calculator and contain instant variable current value that store the current integer value of the calculator, and it can be add, sub, multiply, and divide. Each method in iCalculator receive integer argument apply to operation to current value and return the new value of the current value. So if a current value is a value 8 and subtract 0 is invoked, then current value end up with value 2 and and 2 is returned. So if you want the definition of subclass calculator based on iCalculator, the class iCalculator is additional method negate that receive no argument. The effect of the negate is to reverse the sign of the current value. For example, if the current value is 0, there's no change. If it's -22, then it becomes 22. So if it's 100, then it becomes -100. For the negate, return the new value of the current value. So iCalculator extend this, negate current value is equal to current value multiplied by -1. So, and then return the current value. Assume the availability of existing class iCalculator that model integer arithmetic calculator and contain an instant variable current value that store the current integer value of the calculator. A get method for the above instant variable method add, subtract, multiply, and divide. Each method in iCalculator receive an integer argument and apply its operation to the current value and return the new value of the current value. So if the current value is the value 8 and subtract 6 and walk, the current value end up with a value of 2 and 2 is returned. So if you write the definition of subclass iCalculator3 based on iCalculator, the class iCalculator calculator3 override the div method of iCalculator, check its argument, and if that argument is 0, it print to the standard output the message 0 divide attempted and simply return the value of the current value. Otherwise, if the argument is not 0, the method invoke the base class method div and return the value, and it received that call. So iCalculator3 extend iCalculator, div method is called and get integer. If integer is 0, system print and return add, and else return super div x. Then we call this method. Assume the existence of bank account class. Define a subclass saving account that contains the following: a double instant variable interest rate, a constructor that accepts a parameter of type double which is used to initialize the instant variable, saving account, extend bank account, interest rate, this one, and saving account receive constructor that receive x type double, interest rate is equal to x. So answer of this question is that one. Assume the existence of a building class. Define a subclass apartment building that contains the following instant variable: integer, num floor, integer, unit per floor, boolean has elevator, boolean has center air in a string, managing company containing the name of the real estate company managing the building. There is a constructor containing parameter for the initialization of the above variable in the same order as they appear above. There are also two methods. The first, get total unit accepting no parameter and return the total number of units in the building. The second is luxury building accepting no parameter and return true if the building has central air, an elevator, and 2 or less units per floor. These are the variable: number of floor, unit per floor, has elevator, has air conditions manager, and this is the constructor, and these are the parameter: number of floor, unit per floor, has elevator, has central condition managing company, number of floor. These variables are set, get total unit, number of floor multiplied by unit per floor, and it's luxury building if it's true and number of floor is equal to 1 and has air condition. If it has a lift or number of floor is equal to 1 and has air condition, then return true, else false. So that's the answer for this question. Okay, that's done. Assume the existence of a building class with a constructor that accepts two parameters: a reference to the address object representing the building address, an integer for the square footage of the building. Assume a subclass apartment building has been defined with a single integer instant variable total unit. Write a constructor for the apartment building that accepts three parameters: an address, an integer to be passed to the building constructor, an integer used to initialize the total unit instant variable. So here we are writing a apartment building method constructor. And we're passing these four parameters: address, it's getting address, this square footage, these are the just variable name. One should be the address type, the other two should be integer type. And super, it's actually the the parent class constructor we are calling. So parent class constructor receive the address and the square footage, and the total unit will set locally. So answer for this question is that one. In this method, we just call the superclass constructor. Okay. Assume the existence of a bank account class with a constructor that accepts two parameters: a string for the account holder name followed by integer for the account number. Assume a subclass same account has been defined with a double instant variable name interest rate. Write a constructor for the same account that accepts three parameters in the following order: a string, an integer that are passed to the constructor of the bank account, and double that is used to initialize the instant variable. So constructor, three parameter we are getting. One is string, the second is integer, third one is integer, name, account number, interest rate. Now this call the super parent class constructor and pass the name and account number, and interest rate is locally in a subclass it sets. So answer for this question is okay. That's done. Okay, the next question is the superclass educational institution contain an integer instant variable duration indicating the standard number of years spent at the institution, a constructor that accepts integer, which is used to initialize the duration instant variable, method graduation requirement that return a string. The default behavior of the graduation requirement is to return string starting D year of study, where D is the value of the duration instant variable. Write a subclass for the class definition for this subclass last call that contain a default constructor that invoke the superclass constructor with value 3. Last call is typically a 3-year program. Our written method that graduation requirement that return the string 3 year of study and pass the bar. You must invoke the graduation requirement method of the superclass in this method to obtain the first portion of the resulting string. So law class, we are creating an extend educational institution class. In this constructor, we calling the the educational institution constructor and passing it the value 3. It means it's a 3-year course. The logic, according to the logic. Now string graduation requirement return super.graduation requirement. We call its method. Whatever is written, we add these values with it and return it. So answer of this question is -51. Okay, the next question is, assume the existence of a phone class with a constructor that accepts two parameters, a string for the phone number followed by Boolean representing whether the phone provided added value service. Assume a subclass MP3 phone has been defined that has two instant variable, an integer memory size for the size in megabyte of the phone memory in a Boolean place AAC representing whether the phone is capable of playing AAC encoding audio file. Write a constructor for MP3 phone that accepts three parameters: a string for the phone number, which is passed to the phone constructor together with the value of the true for added value, an integer followed by Boolean instant variable, memory size, and play AAC. Super, we pass the phone number, and true and the local 2 are adjusted. So the answer for this question is a color class is a constructor that accepts three integer parameters: red, green, blue component in the range of 0 to 255, with the 0 representing no contribution of the component and 255 being the most intense value for that component. The effect of full or semi-transparency can be achieved by adding another component to the color called an alpha channel. This value can also be defined in the range of 0 to 255, with 0 representing this totally non-transparent and 255 representing transparency. Define class alpha channel color to be a subclass of the color class. Alpha channel color should have the following integer instant variable alpha, a constructor that accepts 4 parameters: red, green, blue, and alpha value in that order. The first three should be passed to the class to the color class constructor, and the alpha value should be used to initialize the alpha instant variable. Getter method for the alpha instant variable. So we define this in extend color class, and we added one method alpha for, and then we added constructor which get these 4 parameters. The 3 parameters are passed to the super class, and the alpha value are set in local, and for alpha value we use get alpha and it's returned. So that's the answer for this question. Given existing class bank account containing constructor accepting a string correspond to the name of the account holder, a method get balance that return a double correspondence to the account balance, a method withdraw that accept a double and deduct the amount from the account balance. Write a class definition for the subclass checking account that contain a Boolean instant variable or draft hang or draft for checking account allow one to write larger check than the current balance. A constructor that accepts a string and a Boolean, the string parameter used in the invocation of the superclass bank account constructor, where the Boolean is used to initialize the overdraft instant variable. A method has overdraft that return a Boolean has overdraft return true if the account overdraft support overdraft. A method clear check that accept a double and return a value. Clear check will determine if the amount can be cached. This will be the case if the amount is less than the balance in the account, if the account allow overdraft, if the check can be cached, or clear check return true. And also call the withdraw method to update the account balance, otherwise clear check return false. So here, checking account extend bank account. Overdraft is a variable type Boolean. Checking account is a constructor. It will get two variables. One is string type and the other is Boolean. The string will be passed to a super class, and our draft will be set with the second variable. The other method has our draft. It return this value which we define our draft true or false. Clear check. It will get the amount, and we call the get balance. If the get balance is the superclass method. If get balance is greater than or less than equal to amount, or our draft is true, then he can withdraw amount, else he don't have a balance to withdraw. So withdraw method is called, and amount is pass, and return true, else return false. So answer for this question is okay. Anyone has any question? So it's almost 9 o'clock. Class time is almost finished. So any question? There is nobody. Also, did you copy the text from the chat window? Okay. You're welcome. So the text, everybody copy the text, I mean answers. If I close the session, then okay, if anybody's missed some question, then they can check. I mean, tomorrow anytime or any day can check it. I will give them the answer or explain it. It's no issue. The best option is, most of the time, most of the time it's Skype. So if anyone need any help or question, I can give them, or any, or at the email. If someone need any question or need to explain it, then I can try to help them. It's Ram Khatak at Skype ID, and that's the Gmail account which I normally check it. Okay, everybody, thank you. I will close the session now. Thanks, everybody.